Who is responsible for protecting heritage in Syria? Syria, the cradle of civilization for thousands of years. Many civilizations raised and prospered in this land, then vanished and replaced by greater ones. In this small country, people met to create, produce, build, live, and love. Unfortunately, this great land now became symbol of war, sadness, frustration, and destruction. After 10 years of revolution, Syria lost millions of its residents. More than 5.6 million were forced to seek refuge in other countries. 6.7 million have been displaced inside the country. 2.5 million of them are children. More than 500,000 killed. Never forget the tens of thousands who are arrested. Syria did not only lose citizens, but also cities, civilization, and history. Unfortunately, the cultural heritage had been severely damaged during these tragic years. A lot of material and moral losses which are difficult to compensate for even after the end of the war. Syria contains 6 archaeological sites under the World Heritage List, in addition to 12 other sites on the tentative list since 1999. Those sites are now under the endangered list and are threatened of being removed from the World Heritage List. Unfortunately, most of these archaeological sites have been subjected to destruction and thefts by the regime, ISIS, and other militias. Thousands of artifacts have been stolen and no one can locate them now. Museums have been looted and their infrastructure damaged as a result of armed conflicts, especially the museums in the northwestern region of the country. Moreover, the people surrounding these archaeological sites have used them as homes and shelters during the war. And even before the war, many of these sites were not protected efficiently, which makes it vulnerable to damage and looting. The biggest problem is that Syrians are not aware of the importance of their cultural heritage and how this heritage reflects their national identity as Syrian. According to Dr. Salih Jamo, a specialist in ancient Near East archaeology and interested in safeguarding a cultural heritage in conflict zones, he summarized those factors through 2 basic points. The first one is the educational perspective. Schools don't teach any cultural education. They don't even focus on the importance of archaeology for world history. Students have very limited information about the historical sites and how the history of their country is part of their identity. On the other hand, the government never does lectures or educational events to raise the awareness between the locals. Even the archaeological excavations teams have very limited contribution to educate the locals how they should be part of safeguarding the sites. And then the economic factors. Locals who live next to those sites have not received any financial benefit, although some of those buildings are located in private lands. The owners of those lands tend to use their lands in a way that brings them money and profit. Raising awareness among the population is one of the most important problems we suffer from in Syria. Education is the main key to change. When we cultivate the right thoughts and habits from childhood, we reinforce positive actions with time. So, Who is responsible for protecting these monuments, restoring them, and recovering the stolen ones? During this difficult period that Syria is going through, and the loss of control over most of the archaeological areas, many Syrians who are specialized in the field of heritage are working to protect the heritage in attempts to revive the remains and protect what is left. Many countries and organizations also supported some projects to protect heritage in Syria. Most of these projects focused on how to protect the remaining archaeological sites and developed new plans to restore them if possible. In addition to some attempts to stop the theft and vandalism of the museums. Among these many attempts to protect heritage, I had the feeling that I need to take part in this work. Unfortunately, I had neither the experience nor the ability to work on projects directly related to heritage and antiquities. Then, I had the opportunity to be part of a new initiative, Stewards of Cultural Heritage, a program funded and organized by the Gerda Henkel Foundation and the German Archaeological Institute in Istanbul. The program supported 5 Syrian architects and archaeologists living in Turkey. 2-year program included workshops, classes, working in archaeological sites to empower them and teach them the technologies used today in the excavation sites and in restoration. According to what was mentioned previously and within the current circumstances in Syria and the difficulty of working on the ground, I focused my research on the importance of working for the future, because I believe that what we are doing now is the seed for what we will be done in the future. And now I want you to take a moment to think with me. When we talk about the future, what comes to your mind first? For me, it is the future generation and what we left for them. But when we are in a state of inability to change on the ground, what can we leave for them? Syrian children are now scattered all over the world. Unfortunately, most of them are afraid of the idea of returning to Syria. In addition, many of them do not know anything about Syria because they were born outside it. No one knows when they will be able to return to it. For example, my 2 children who were born in Istanbul, I don't know when they will be able to visit their home country for the first time. These children are the decision makers of the future. They are the ones who will restore Syria's history and civilization to shine again. But how will we convince them of the importance of their return to Syria when they do not have any memories or connection with it? Pieces of Syrian Heritage is a project aimed to strengthen the link between Syrian children and their history and their homeland, Syria. During my work and research for a way or solution to protect and preserve heritage in Syria, I discovered that despite my study of architecture, I am not sufficiently familiar with the archaeological monuments in Syria. And although I was raised in Syria, I did not learn much about the beauty of Syrian city. I am not the only one like this. In fact, most Syrians know little of their heritage, and few of them are aware of Syria's historical importance. This gap is a major reason for many of the losses that Syria has suffered. Lack of awareness and knowledge of the importance of something leads to its loss over time.